Good evening and welcome to the broadcast of the Enid City Commission from the council chambers in the administration building on West Garriott.
Calling roll, we are all present. The invocation this evening will be given by Paula Nightingale. Colonel James, would you lead us in the flag salute after the invocation? Paula?
The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, in you we live and move and have our being. We humbly pray you so to guide and govern us by your Holy Spirit that in all the cares and occupations of our life we may not forget you, but may remember that we are ever walking in your sight. Send down upon those who hold office in this city of Enid the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people. Give each of us such an awareness of your mercies, that with truly thankful hearts we may show forth your praise, not only with our lips, but in our lives, by giving up ourselves to your service, and by walking before you in holiness and righteousness all our days. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, to whom with you and the Holy Spirit be honor and glory throughout all ages. Amen.
Thank you.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Paula. Didn't mean to work at that hard. You're easy. I couldn't say JJ's last name 2 months ago. Item 4, consider approval of minutes of the regular meeting of March the 4th, 2014.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Mike, second by Ron. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 5, awards, presentations, and organizational business. Item 5.1, present the pet available for adoption at the city animal shelter.
I'm Gene Robertson with the Enid Animal Control, and what I brought here tonight is a little Boston Terrier, roughly 1.5 to 2 years old. It's a male. He needs a good home. He is available up for adoption. We need somebody to come out and adopt him. Our hours are from 10 to 6, Monday through Friday, and 12 to 3 on Saturday and Sunday. We have a lot of animals out there to select from. Come on out and take a look.
Is he always that calm?
He just needs some more loving.
Long-legged rascals.
Thank you. Item 5. Anybody want to take that dog now? Thank you. Item 5.2, we have a proclamation, and Steve Kime will read the proclamation. And the proclamation is for Kick Butts Day.
Good evening, Commissioners. Mr. Benson, Mrs. Riley, Mayor's asked me to read our proclamation for this evening. I'd like to ask Tanya Chalette, the Program Coordinator of Garfield County Tobacco-Free Coalition, and she has some team members with her. And we want everybody to turn and face the cameras. And Mayor, come on around if you will. I'll read this. Ms. Chalette, here we go with the proclamations. Whereas nationwide, nearly 1/5 of all high school students grade 9 through 12 are current smokers, along with nearly 1 out of every 14 eighth graders, and 6,200 kids under 18 in Oklahoma become new daily smokers each year. And whereas 28.6, 57,400 high school students in Oklahoma smoke cigarettes, and 18.4% use smokeless or spit tobacco, and 23.7% of Garfield County residents smoke, and 216,000 kids in Oklahoma are exposed to secondhand smoke at home. And whereas smoking kills over 400,000 Americans each year, representing more deaths than from AIDS, alcohol, car accidents, murder, suicide, drugs, and fires combined. And in Oklahoma, 5,800 adults die each year from their own smoking, and 87,000 kids now under 18 will die prematurely from smoking. And whereas most of these deaths could be prevented, and tobacco-free families are healthier families, and whereas the city of Enid wishes to stand up with the youth and adults of our community to promote tobacco-free families. Now, therefore, I, Bill Shuey, Mayor of the City of Enid, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim March 18th, 2014 as Kick Butts Day. Congratulations.
Keep up the good work. Did you all have something you want to say?
We just want to say thank you guys for allowing us to be here. And these children on Saturday, they took their time to go out to our park and clean up our park. And I want to say thank you to the City of Enid for everything that you're doing for our community. Our walking trails are wonderful. Our parks are improving, and that is great. And we would love to see those parks become tobacco-free. So I hope that by seeing these kids, they are concerned about secondhand smoke. They are concerned about the litter in our parks. Please consider thinking about having our parks tobacco-free. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
City property. Clean area parks, yeah. Sure, parks are.
Item 5.3, consider appointments to the Historic Preservation Commission, the Board of Adjustment, and the Meadow Lake Golf Course Advisory Board. Joan?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Commissioners, the city clerk has advertised for vacancies for these boards, and the following appointments are to be considered. For the Historic Preservation Commission, there are 4 vacancies, but they're each one with a different specification, so we'll need to vote on them individually. The first one being for the Historic Preservation Commission is to be filled by historian, an unexpired term to March 1st, 2016. The applicants are Carolyn McElmore and Melissa Sismansky, and I apologize if I did not say that correctly, but are either of these candidates here? Would you like to say something to the council?
Okay. My name's Carolyn McElmore. I've lived in the Waverly Addition for 13 and a half years. And when we first moved into Waverly, I had no idea exactly what living in a historic part of Enid, or actually any town, really meant, other than what I'd read in my preservation magazine. I am a historian by education and by nature. I also am an active member of the Tall Foundation of Oklahoma. And because of those two things, I am incredibly diligent in looking at and trying to understand how our history, heritage, and the physical aspects of the town affect its future as it has come out of its past. So if there is an opportunity to vote for me, or is this what Nixon did? Anyway, I would really appreciate it. I would start willingly and do as well as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. And is Melissa here? That ballot with the 2 for, to be filled by historian.
Vote for one. One.
There is also a vacancy to be filled by a registered architect, is your other paper that you have. This appointment, this position is a full position.
Kenny.
Aaron is the incumbent for this position and would like to be considered for reappointment, and John Mertz is the other candidate. Are either of these two here and would like to say something to the commission? I don't believe so.
One.
For one. There is one vacancy to be filled by an attorney. Mr. R. Reagan Allen is the incumbent and the only applicant for this position for reappointment. There is a copy of Mr. Allen's application attached to your agenda.
I make a motion to accept Reagan Allen by acclamation.
I'll second it.
A motion by Mike, second by Rodney. All in favor, please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. We need another one also.
There is one vacancy to be filled by a licensed real estate broker. Mr. Thomas Andrew is the incumbent and the only applicant for this position and would like to be considered for reappointment.
I so move.
Second.
Motion by Ben, second by Ron. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. The person that will fill the Historic Preservation Commission spot is Carolyn McLemore. Congratulations. She can't read my writing.
Let us go ahead and round out the historic preservation before we move on to the Board of Adjustment.
The person that will be on the Historic Preservation Commission will be John Mers. John's here.
The Board of Adjustment, there are 2 vacancies to be filled by any interested citizen of the city of Enid. Mr. John Mertz and Mr. William Stitsworth are the incumbents to the board. Mr. Stitsworth would like to be considered for reappointment. Mr. Mertz is ineligible because of term limits. Mr. Stitsworth and Mr. T. Jeffrey Luke are the only applicants for this board.
Make a motion to accept Mr. Stitsworth and Mr. Luke.
Motion by Mike,
Second?
second by Ben. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0.
There are 2 vacancies to be filled for the Meadow Lake Golf Course Advisory Board. 1 vacancy is to be filled by an interested citizen of the city of Enid. Mr. Joe Jackson is the incumbent and the only applicant for this position, and would like to be considered for reappointment.
I make a motion to accept Mr. Jackson.
Second. Motion by Mike, second by Ron. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. That was close, Joe.
The remaining vacancy for the Meadow Lake Golf Course Advisory Board is to be filled by a member of the Meadow Lake Men's Golf Association to fill an unexpired term to March 1st, 2015. The only applicant for this position is Mr. Michael Oakes.
I'll make a motion to accept Mr. Michael Oakes.
Second. Motion by Mike, second by Ron. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0.
And that completes the,
Thank you. Under item 6, hearings, 6.1, there are none. Under item 7, community development, 7.1, consider approval of the final plat of blocks 10, 11, 12, and 13, Chisholm Creek Village. Chris Bauer.
Thank you, Mayor, City Commissioners, Manager Benson, and Joan. We're in the north part of our community tonight at Chisholm Creek Development. This slide shows 4th Street here, and this is the current development aerial photo. This was platted a few years back as getting homes built there now in our current housing need. And the outline in yellow is the area that we're being considered tonight for final plats of blocks 10, 11, 12, and 13. This represents the plat of the yellow area, gives you a layout of the road system, as well as the lot lines and all of the utility easements for water and sewer, electric, cable, those, and telephone. It does comply with our subdivision regulations. The Planning Commission has reviewed it, and they've offered their recommendation of approval as well as staff. Are there any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion by Ron, second by Ben. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Under item 8, administration. Item 8.1, consider awarding a contract to Downey Construction, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, for construction of the 211 West Chestnut Drainage Improvement, project number F-1205A, and authorize the mayor to execute all contract documents after review by the city attorney. Robert?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. This is an award for a drainage improvement project. We have an exhibit here showing the general location of the project, which is just north of the railroad right away in the area of Washington and Chestnut. And the next slide shows the project in a little bit more detail. It's basically replacing a 36-inch pipe picking up from the railroad yard area just to the west of Washington, as you can see from the photo here, and then goes north to Chestnut, and then continues east along Chestnut to Independence. It ties into the existing storm sewer system. The project was estimated, or we have an agreement with the railroad, cost share on this project, $150,000, up to $150,000 for the railroad and for the city, with $300,000 available. We have a bid from Downey Construction Company of $279,655 to basically put in the head walls, the pipe, and make the connection in place, and it's recommended for award.
Didn't we look at this some time ago?
We did bring back in December, we brought you the agreement with the railroad. for approval, authorizing the cost share at that time, and this is actually proceeded, got bids, and now we're ready to proceed with construction. It is the project is to resolve a flooding project or flooding problem at Johnson Grain Elevators, which abuts the railroad right-of-way.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Tammy, second by Rodney. Further discussion?
Mayor, one question if I may. I'm assuming the railroad has agreed to pay half, up to $150,000.
That's correct. That was the agreement.
So they're not going to give us their $150,000 regardless of the fact that it came in under $300,000.
That's correct. It's up to.
Thank you.
Further comments? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 8.2, consider awarding a contract to Sexton Construction, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, for the Santa Fe Depot roof replacement, project number M-1404A, and authorize the mayor to execute all contract documents after review by the city attorney. Robert?
Thank you. Again, I have an exhibit here that shows the general location of the site, which is on, the depot is on Walnut between Washington and Independence, just south of the railroad tracks we talked about. This is an outline of the floor plan or the roof of the Santa Fe Depot facility. It does have a tile or flat roof in the interior, but this project would provide for pulling off the tiles, complete tiles, replacing under the underlayment, waterproofing that facility, putting the tile back on, and then putting a single-ply membrane on the flat roof area to provide a complete roofing system, and then repair any damage to the ceilings. There's some damage to the ceiling from water stain repaired, and some sheetrock repair. I want to clarify that the maintenance bond for this is a 2-year bond. It is a 2-year bond because of the we felt we were not able to get contractors to bid on a 3-year bond for a tile roof project, but it is a 2-year bond, and it is a 15-year warranty on the roof. That is a 15-year warranty, and then the underlayment is manufacturer's whatever standard manufacturer warrant for underlayment under the tile.
Robert, I've got one question for you. Just between study session and now, has occurred to me. Is the Sexton Construction, are they doing the removal of the tile that's on there?
That's correct.
And who is responsible if some of those tiles are damaged or broken?
They are. They'll do the removal and replacement, and if any are damaged, replaced, they will replace that in their contract. That is,
And are those,
they're obligated.
Is that still available? It's not something that's discontinued?
It'd be similar. Probably when we replace the tile, we'll have to move some around to make it look. We'll move them around to fit it in so it looks like original construction. They're a similar tile. They're not exactly the same, but we think we can replace them, put them and put them in the right location to make it certainly appear that quite appropriate for the facility.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Rodney, second by Tammy.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 8.3, consider the placement of the Boomer statue. Before Ron does his presentation, we have another presentation by Joan Riley. Joan? Was there any other detail other than consider the placement of the Boomer statue? No. Okay.
Mayor and Commissioners, there's no question that Boomer is a historical icon in this community that is very well loved. And the placement of Boomer carries a tremendous amount of heartfelt sentiment and passion. And what I have discovered in the last several days, with the help of Jay Champion from the library, helping me research some of the information, I just felt the need that I wanted to share it with you so that you would at least have an option. And that decision, of course, is the final decision is, of course, as always, yours. But can you tell me, this is a picture of about 1901. It is Enid. Can you identify anything in this picture?
Wagon there in front.
There is a wagon there in front, and there's a whole line of horses there along Grand Street.
I was sitting in that car over there on the,
This is actually the location of the Enid Land Office. And the white building, the L-shaped building, is the Enid Land Office as it's set. The building over to this building is a post office. Jade's here to correct me because she knows this history very well. Of course, this street right here is Main, and this one line of horses is Grand.
It's currently where the library is now, correct?
Currently where the library sits today.
Actually, it looks like it might be about where the post office is now.
Well, actually,
It's back quite a ways.
at the library, in the east lawn, are these two plaques, and they're two separate plaques, but they were placed by citizens that depict that this is the original site of the land office, and also the other one states it's the site of the land office, but also that the first church service held in Enid was held at that location as well. The one was donated by St. Matthew's Church, I think. I can't remember. It's on there. I can't read it. It is. St. Matthew's. These plaques are located, one is right there, that middle tree right there, it's a catalpa tree. There's one plaque just north of it, and the other one is closer to the tree at the back by the parking area. The actual land office, the best of our calculations from historical pictures, set in between that back tree and the line of cars there in the parking area. So it's kind of towards the back of that east grassy area. This photo is 1924, and what appears on the left where I have written the Doughboy statue is the courthouse that was built in 1907. That was actually the second courthouse, but it was built in 1907, and they built a little plaza area in the front, and the original placement of the Doughboy statue was in the center of that plaza area. Over on the right is the catalpa tree that is still sitting there today, well over 100 years old. And there's the land office right behind it.
So when would that picture have been from, Joe?
The estimates are around 1924. That courthouse burned down in 1931 and was relocated, so. Now, these two statues are two of the icons of Enid, one being the Doughboy statue, which I had no idea was even as big as it is. And it was placed in 1924 in the position that I just showed you in the previous picture. And then, of course, our Boomer statue that was placed in 1987. My thought, and the thought of staff as we did this research, was how awesome it would be from a historic and educational point of view to place the Doughboy statue back in its original position on the west side of the library lawn, and Boomer close to the original position of the land office on the east side. Earlier tonight, you were presented with a proposal to go out for some landscaping for streetscape around the new Civic Center area. This is a concept of the potential. This shows the parking garage and the storefront of the retail space. But that grassy land, leave it to me. The grassy land over right there is the east lawn of the library. So you could envision, if you will, carrying the trail coming into downtown, the green space, the new Civic Plaza area, the new landscape around it, leading into more of downtown with more streetscape, garden-type area around the statues, sittable areas, walkable areas, and that kind of thing.
Isn't that up a level?
Yeah, hang on, I got you. The potential for a design to be developed, giving Boomer the prominence it has in the hearts of many. I mean, it could be designed specifically for him from the ground up. It would give you a place to walk, to sit, to learn more about the history. And then the addition would be the placement of the Doughboy statue in its original position.
Still be done regardless of whether Boomer goes there or not.
This is a very simple design of something. This is not, I'm not saying that this is it. I'm just saying you could design it around Boomer as the central concept. Now, why did I even get here? What caused me to even look at this option? Every year, we ask for the departments to give us their capital needs for the next year as we start the budget process. What came to us this year in prominence was the library's east lawn. This is pictures, you're right, the library east lawn is built up about 3 feet? 3 to 4 feet. That retaining wall is crumbling. It has to be addressed. The idea is that we would take it out and level that area back down to a slope that is, that would account for the ability to do this kind of garden walkable area. There is no question that this is something that we have to do anyway. There's another picture showing the corner where it's just come completely off. If you actually look at it when you're there, you can see it's leaning. Again, this is something that came in our capital needs. So in looking at, well, if we're going to do that, what else could we do? And at the time, I was thinking, what else could we do to enhance the further of downtown from the civic area and beautify the next block? There were a couple of concepts thrown out. This was long before Boomer was ever considered. This was a couple of months ago before this came up. But, you know, ideas of, like I said, more walkable, more sittable areas than just a built-up. And again, these are some very simple concepts. But the idea is, this is something already in our capital, will be in our capital plan when we come up with the budget for this year. It could be utilized, and you have an opportunity to move the Doughboy to its original place, move Boomer as close to where the land office was originally, which holds a historical significance.
So this option exists because we know that we're going to bring this for you as a priority for this repair. It would mean the complete remodel of the east and west sides of the library. And it would give our newly formed Art and Public Places Committee the opportunity to design not only the placement of the Doughboy, but also Boomer, if you move in that direction. We think it gives Boomer historical significance. It gives us an opportunity to highlight him specifically, and it makes the permanent home for Boomer not only historically accurate, but it gives them the whole east lawn of the library. We have to do this. We intend to do this, and in the process, it would be easy to incorporate a plan that the advisory board could develop for you.
The picture back, go back to the 1924 picture, if you could. There you go. Is that 1 block or is that 2 blocks worth of?
That's 1 block.
Okay, that is. It's just a matter of perspective.
Well,
Because that looks like about 2 blocks worth of space along Main.
okay. When the courthouse burned down, they probably made some division in there. Broadway went down that spot.
Okay, so it wouldn't actually be where the Doughboy was. It'd be a block up.
Again, it would, yes, it would be in the vicinity. It would be closer than it is now.
Sure. But it may be a block off of it. Okay, gotcha.
In the bigger picture of things also, is that utilization of that land for the library best use of that property now that we're going to have a hotel and all that across from it? how old is the library, and is there any thought that we might need to move them, take that building down, and redo that whole block?
The library's 50 years old this year.
It seems to me that it's a little outdated for the technology use. That would be another reason to do this. Consider at least moving the library out and starting over in a different, better
Better
location.
not tear anything down.
The library doesn't really fit that blue.
Well, I agree, but.
But it can
people-
be improved with gardens on each side.
I just asked the question. I wonder if that's a consideration.
You're perfect.
50-year-old building that's a little bit outdated for its use.
If I may, I noticed on this item that I'm actually listed as the presenter, but we've already had a presentation, haven't we?
Well, this is now your turn to present, Commissioner.
Well, okay, I'm glad we got around to me. 2 weeks ago, we discussed this, and I had never heard of this particular proposal. It came out, after that. But, I still think that Boomer, the best location for it is where I proposed over there in the plaza, at the west end of the plaza there in front of Convention Hall. When Boomer was donated to the city, it was donated to be placed in connection with the existing conference center that was built at that time. And that was the intent. And to me, we've got an ideal location there on the west end of the plaza because it's more visible there. It's just a perfect place to place it. And I'd like to make a motion that we place Boomer in the plaza on the west end there in front of Convention Hall.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second, and we have several to speak regarding Boomer. Eric?
And May Holden, as you approach the mic, whoever's going to speak, if you give your home address, your name, home address. Dan Dillingham.
The main reason I'm interested in Boomer, and I had visited with city manager 2 or 3 months ago and thought that Enid was really missing an opportunity to advertise the Cherokee Strip by grouping not moving the other 2 monuments, but having them where they have easy access for people coming in. He suggested that I visit with Marcy, which I did, and I believe you had told her I was calling, which I appreciate, and we had a great conversation. But I was pleased to learn at that time that there were tour buses coming in, and she gets on the buses and she's taking them around and showing them. Boomer wasn't there, but she showed them staking the claim, and then the last one of the homesteaders, which basically tells the whole story of the Cherokee Strip. And you look at what Ponca City's done with the Pioneer Lady and some other cities, we are missing a great historical promotion by not using it. It certainly would be better down on street level than when you go by and look at it now. I have done that about 4 times, the last time on the way down here. And there was nothing appealing to me about it, but that certainly could be a better site than it is right now. How much money it costs is yet to be determined. One reason I like the site in the courtyard that Commissioner Jansen has suggested is that there's going to be a lot of out-of-town people coming in. And we've got a lot of parking lots over there. They're going to be coming and going in the convention hall and events center. And I think that location would be far superior to showing and being obvious to people who've never been here before. And I still like it best, but this is an interesting proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Diane Athey. Linda Record.
Well, I'm a daughter of the Cherokee Strip and a fan of H. Holden. I love the Boomer. I'm proud of Boomer. I'm proud of Enid. A similar statue of my great-great-aunt is in the Cherokee Strip Museum of her astride a horse in the and I just love him. I love everything H has done. I have his work in my house. If he has chosen this as a preferred site for his work, I think that needs to be given a lot of weight. This is his career. He's an artist, world-class artist. And if he thinks this is the most beautiful display of his work, I agree with him. But I also have driven by both sites, and the plaza is screaming for Boomer. It's the planter that they have picked out looks like the right size already. There's yucca and prairie grass. All the landscaping looks like it's ready for him. Otherwise, it's kind of blah, actually. There's the antique lights, which also would go with Boomer, but it's kind of too plain. I think it really needs Boomer. I've heard the Christmas tree display as if this would detract from it. I hang Boomer on my Christmas tree every year. He looks good in green, I can tell you. But, the library site, I was glad to see that you had a more expansive plan for it, but just setting him up there on the hill as it is, I didn't like at all. You have a much better plan than what I could imagine as I drove by. But the library architecture itself is a very poor backdrop. That's not going to change. And it's not a very highly traveled site. The block of downtown to the east of it is pretty ugly. Even though you plan to fix up the hotel site and that side of the street, the other side is the part of downtown that hasn't been refurbished and isn't looking too good. But I really, I just look at the plaza and it's just screaming for Boomer to be there. And if H thinks it's the best site, who could argue with that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor and Commissioners, I simply want to explain that grade elevation that you see there currently would be brought down to street level. That would be completely removed, and you would have on both sides, a ground-up design for the placement of either Boomer and Doughboy. It gives you an opportunity to design the plaza next to the library, that corner, for Boomer versus inserting him in a designed location like the plaza in front of Convention Hall. We didn't have this option to you before because we had not completed our priority listing of funding for next year. And after inspection of the wall over there, we knew that we had to do something about it. And Joan developed this proposal for you. And I apologize for springing it on you, but we didn't have the data that we could provide you earlier than today. So we would take the plaza, I keep confusing the plaza with the library eastern lawn, but we'd take the eastern lawn down to street level, and the entire section there, almost a half block, would be devoted solely to Boomer.
Then you're going to, the library is still going to be up in the air?
Well, that wall would be,
moved back.
Think of it
close
as
to the
moving that
library.
wall over to the foundation of the library. We recapture the entire corner across from the new hotel and event center.
Well, I think regardless, I look forward to seeing those options in this budget cycle, regardless where we put Boomer. I think Boomer's going to look great in the plaza, but no matter where we put Boomer, we need to make sure we're doing, the lights right and the marking right and do all that well. I have no doubt that will be.
I agree with you, Commissioner. The really neat part about this proposed location in Joan's presentation is that you can design it from the ground up rather than having to bore underneath, lay odd electrical lines, and make him fit in a place for which the architect didn't intend him. Now you can design a space in a much larger area for Boomer. It would be designed around and for him, and you have a very capable Art and Public Places Committee that I think that many of whom are represented here tonight who would lead that effort.
Sure, though moving electrical 10 feet isn't exactly the most complicated process.
Try moving it under
But we've
concrete.
already laid concrete there that they will have to pull up.
Now, that will be a big problem. The thing about it is, though, when I looked at that plaza, when they finished it, with that planter out there on the far west end that's just sitting out there by itself, I thought at that time that'd be a perfect location for Boomer.
And it has great
It doesn't have any
attraction.
lights in it. It would be, and when you come down Cherokee, there it would be, come in on Independence. And I think it would finish the plaza. The plaza needs something there on that end.
Well, I think
And I think
that,
Boomer would be the perfect solution.
I think that we obviously want to see our out-of-town people enjoy Boomer when they come and go to the hotel, but, I mean, I've lived in Enid my whole life as much as you guys have, and I enjoy seeing Boomer, and personally, I think when we box him into a plaza, we're not going to see Boomer unless we go to Convention Hall, which we go to Convention Hall probably more frequently than a lot of people do, but how many people in town that live here and want to enjoy it, I mean, it was a gift to our community. How many people are going to get to see that on a regular basis? I mean, I think it's more visible downtown in front of the library just because more people travel to the courthouse, the post office, the businesses down around town. So, I mean, that's just my personal preferences would be to just have it where it's out in the open where everyone can see it more. I just feel like we're boxing it in the plaza.
So
But I
we-
understand I understand everybody's feelings on it, but
I
that's
think it's
just.
greatly different than where it was, you know,
But
in
I
the middle of
really
the
like
block.
the idea of the street being it being leveled.
I do like that idea, too.
Are we going to lose that old tree, the catalpa tree?
It's come down,
Tapestry
it's dying.
It's dying?
dying. It's 25, 30 years older than what its life expectancy.
Sure.
I like the plaza area, and you can always move Boomer. We've proven that in the last 2 months.
Can we make
move that-
benches out
You
of
can move
the
that
tree?
statue anywhere, but
don't
I do
want
like
the
the
tree
plaza area.
Right.
I'm not married to either one. I just, as someone that lives here, I think it would be more aesthetically pleasing where we could see it rather than boxing it in somewhere, but I understand.
Mayor, are we ready to vote?
To the other spot. I think David.
I have one comment, and that, I personally, when I looked at it, I disagreed with you, Ron. I didn't think that was the best spot, because I think once the hotel's on that side, it's gonna box that corner in even more than it is now. But I will say that I heard from probably 20 people in my ward this past 2 weeks, all of who have said that they thought it should go in the plaza. So I came here tonight prepared to vote for that, to represent my constituents. However, none of them had the opportunity to know
see
this
this.
other was an option. So I don't know if you'd accept tabling this for 2 weeks, and let's let public get some input on it. Another 2 weeks isn't really going to matter. Could we do this next time? So I'd suggest tabling it for my benefit. I'd like to hear from the constituents if they like the other idea.
I would like to do that too,
We've
because
got a
we didn't
motion.
see this other option.
We have a motion on the floor.
Mayor, might I just, as part of discussion, might I just add, we haven't really had an opportunity to explore all the areas that it could be placed. I mean, we do have a large green space. If you want to talk Ponca City and the Pioneer Woman, that green space for a block and a half could also be a prominent place. Everybody driving down 412 would see it.
Well, the reason I got involved in this project to begin with was that Boomer was being placed, and a home had apparently been found for him that I didn't think was suitable, and I think some other people didn't think was suitable. And for that reason, you know, we located the plaza in front of Convention Hall, which to me fit perfectly. And I don't see any reason to kick this around, and I don't know where the thing might end up. If we don't have enough votes here tonight, well, then we'll have to go for other options. But I would still like to vote on it.
I would really like for us to be able to examine it some more.
Well, if it doesn't pass, well, then we'll look at other options. Ready to vote?
Who repeat your motion?
I made the motion that we place Boomer in the plaza in front of Convention Hall as we discussed 2 weeks ago.
If it fails, then we can do a motion for tabling it.
Is there a second?
I second it.
A motion by Ron, a second by Mike. Further discussion? Hearing none, please cast your vote. Motion carries 5-2. Consent items, I'm sorry. So, who wanted one pulled?
I did.
Linda, you have the.
Yes.
9/11.
I was, I wanted to pull 9.13.
13.
Pull 9.13, please.
A second.
I'll move to approve all claims except 9.13.
Second.
I have a motion to approve all claims except item 9.13. Further discussion?
My questions, Mayor, pertain to the fact that we're being asked here to execute a contract
Need a
with.
vote.
Well, we need to vote on the rest of them.
Excuse me.
Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, we're asking to approve a contract here with HWH Group of Paris, Texas, to act as a consultant for the new market tax credits for the parking garage downtown. And I just feel like it's premature. We don't know how much the parking garage is going to cost. I haven't seen any plans for the parking garage. We've got a lot of things that need to be done before we actually get into, and it appears to me that if we approve this agreement, that we're going to be obligating ourselves for some large payments that we may not need to make.
Commissioner, do you know what this motion does? Do you know what their HWH is going to do for us?
Well, I read what it says here.
What, do you understand it?
Well, yes, they're going to explore the possibility of us obtaining new market tax credits.
Yes, and there will be no way that we can achieve new market tax credits without this endeavor. It is the one and only firm that we've spent months discussing this on why it's important to gain as much as $2 million in new market tax credits that we can apply to the debt for our garage. Simultaneously, they'll provide the same service at the expense of Lodgewell as it applies to the hotel. So the total capability here is almost $6 million. Our services to these folks will come after the closing of the new market tax credits. We pay them a small consulting fee as a retainer. The payment for the rest of that comes after closing on the new market tax credits. So we are not incurring any giant liabilities. We're asking for professional service, and much like our bond counsel, we pay them if we get it.
On contingency.
They actually have waived their retainer even.
So it's free until they deliver new market tax credits. So
It's
we have
free,
no expenses until they deliver new market tax credits. And we get $2 million, they get $180,000. And that is about half of what we were quoted last year from the Oklahoma City firm.
If we get nothing, we pay nothing.
That's exactly right.
Well, there are very minor exceptions to that. One would be if the credits were available and we chose not to take them. Or
if it were our decision not
yes,
to accept
yes.
the.
Right.
Yes.
But since we haven't closed yet on the hotel property, have we?
This process is parallel to the hotel endeavor.
This is not actually on the hotel property. This would be on the garage only.
They're divided
The
into three
hotel's going to
properties.
have to also contract for their part?
Yes.
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 We
You know,
don't,
when we discussed this originally, it all sounded like it was all going to be one agreement as far as these new market tax credits.
well, it's one agreement in that they apply to these two properties, but they can't negotiate for us. And further, we have to develop an entity separate from the city council to be eligible for these new market tax credits. That process has to start now, which is why this item is before you. This
Is there
is
some
not going
kind
to
of
happen.
deadline that we're up against?
Well, there are deadlines of April and November for submission of tax credit consideration by the Fed. Now, you're not going to be out any money by pursuing an opportunity to garner a $2 million windfall.
Are there more tax credits available in April than in November, Eric?
It depends, Mr. Mayor. I'm by no stretch of the imagination an expert on this, but these folks are, and that's why we want them. This is a very complex effort that requires a very specialized legal skill.
We have discussed this before.
For a year.
We have.
This firm is also the same firm that will be doing the exact same thing, but for the hotel on the hotel property, which I believe is why they've waived their.
Exactly. We're piggybacking.
What you're telling me, though, is that we're not contracting with them to actually pursue the new market tax credits.
No, I am telling you precisely that, Commissioner.
We are.
We want this group to obtain the new market tax credits, an effort that we are incapable of pursuing ourselves. This firm specializes in new market tax credit development, and it is a very complex issue.
And if we don't get it, if we don't qualify for it or don't get it for whatever reason,
We don't pay it.
we don't pay anything to anybody.
Fact.
I'll
In fact,
second
we don't
Mike's
get the $2
motion.
million either.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah,
I still think it's premature.
you did make.
I did make a motion.
I'll second Mike's motion.
A motion by Mike, a second by Ben. Further discussion.
I think it's important that we do this because we don't know how we're going to finance that parking garage till we know what money's available up front. And Rodney and I have got several thoughts we've run through on different ways to finance that garage, but we got to know how much we're going to have available to us. So I'm very much in favor of doing this, particularly at no cost.
Yes.
Further discussion. Hearing none, please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-1. That is the one we pulled, wasn't it?
Yes.
So move on, 10.
Did we clear out 9.15
Yes.
initially?
No, we didn't pull it.
We didn't pull it.
It was included in all the others.
Yeah.
Item 10, we will now recess to convene as the Enid Municipal Authority. Item 11, all of the trustees of the Enid Municipal Authority at the regular meeting are present. Item 12, Enid, this is now the Enid Municipal Authority regular meeting. Item 12.1, approval of claims in the amount of $331,446.22.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
Motion by Mike.
Second.
Second by Rodney. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. We will now adjourn to convene as the Enid Economic Development Authority. All trustees of the Enid Economic Development Authority are in attendance at the regular meeting. We are now in session with the Enid Economic Development Authority, the regular meeting. Item 15.1, approve and execute an economic development agreement with Enid Travel Plaza LLC.
Make a motion to approve and execute the agreement.
Second?
Motion by, we do have somebody signed up to speak on that, Eric.
We do, and I think she would be in favor of it. Lisa Powell?
We have a motion by whom? Mike, who made the second? Ben? Lisa Powell.
Thank you, Commissioners. Lisa Powell with the Enid Regional Development Alliance. We presented this at study session a couple weeks ago and just wanted to make myself available if there were any questions this evening, but otherwise, obviously, we support the agreement with the Enid Travel Plaza.
I wasn't at the last study session, but you all kindly came and talked to me about it. If I'm clear, the only reason this is coming before the commission is because there's $90,000 in the bank account and this is 102?
That's correct. And this-
Otherwise, you would have already approved it, you're happy with it?
Well, it has not been presented to our Board of Directors because we did not have the funds to support the project. And so I can't say that they would or would not have approved it. It's the type of project that, when we consider a project of this type, we run it through 3 filters. One of those is whether or not it fills a gap in our retail market. Another is whether it cleans up a dilapidated building upon one of our major thoroughfares in Enid, which we feel this does. And lastly, does it increase the scope of our trade area for Enid? And we feel that this may do that as well, bring some increased truck traffic.
This is a $3.5 million project.
Yes, approximately.
Sales revenue, sales tax revenue that will come from that project will not come from fuel sales, but from the C-store, the hotel, the restaurants.
Yes, those estimates are based on the sales tax revenue from the convenience store.
I think 5 years will be all it'll take to pay that back.
This is in 4 years.
Do we, I'm sorry.
I'm there, thank you.
Do we collect anything on the sales tax, or does it go to the state and the federal?
This would be
We
based
collect
on
our
only
portion
city
of sales.
sales tax collection.
What they're asking for is 1% of the 2.5%, 2.37% that we collect, that we're not collecting right now. This is the standard incentive that we've offered a number of other retailers.
sell it,
not that-
get it.
I think
Right.
I think it's a wonderful deal. With the waste, it's an ugly spot. Great for Ben and I's ward. We're not making no money now, so I really support it.
And we haven't for 10 years, Rodney.
One other contingency in it, they have to have it up and operating by December?
Yes, by
Is that
December
doable?
31st of this year. Yes, they anticipate, once the permits are approved, 120 days for construction.
What was your question, David?
If they could get it done by December, because I noticed in that contract, there's a,
That's exactly right.
it's not up and operating by December 31st, that it won't qualify. And
He sits in about June or July.
Yeah, they're aiming for this summer, but that is the part of
That's
their.
aggressive.
We've made some, you would understand this, remember the water issue and the right-of-way drainage line? We've made some great strides in getting cooperation from the adjacent landowner to run that water line across that right-of-way.
Also gives Ben a place to eat.
That's right. Looking forward to that.
I want to get some gas before I leave.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, thank you.
We've got a motion and a second.
Who made the motion? Mike, second by Ben. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 15.2, approval of claims in the amount of $4,038.
Wow, I'll make that motion. Yeah.
That's maybe an all-time low.
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by Ron. Further discussion. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. We will now adjourn to reconvene as the Enid City Commission. Item 17, public discussion, and we do have one or two signed up.
I think we do. Ella Tedder, are you here for public discussion, dear? You had signed up to speak, but you didn't say what you're speaking for, except you mentioned an open letter for tonight. Yes, ma'am. But why don't you come up to the microphone, Ella, and so we can hear you.
That's for my benefit, Ella. I can't hear you back there.
Is that close enough?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There was a letter sent out earlier that we would meet with the MACP, and then following that, we would meet here, and that date was tonight. And this letter went out to all the surrounding people, and I haven't checked with everybody. The people that I have checked with did not receive a letter that they were not on the agenda tonight. And so I showed up in case somebody showed up to question the situation or what was going on, that there would be a response to them. And that's all. I'm not on the agenda, so I'm not supposed to speak, right?
You have the opportunity in open session to offer your thoughts on,
I have the opportunity to what?
express your thoughts.
Oh, my thought, well, we are working on it very hard, very diligently, and we are making progress. So we will be back as soon as the situation allows. But we are doing quite well, better than
Does everybody
expected.
understand what you're talking about?
I don't.
I do.
Well, would
Just so
my
it's not unanimous,
representative
I don't know
like,
what you're talking about, Ella.
She
would
is,
my commissioner like, to let my commissioner express it?
Bring it up again.
she has property on Owen K. Garrett that she's asking it to, we're looking at the zoning of her property, of 2 residential properties on, on Garrett.
I know where the property.
It is the house that had a lot of damage to it. We cannot get contractors to give us a bid on it till we know whether it's going to be commercial or residential. So we're in limbo with that part.
Is the house next to Johnson?
Yes, sir. No, this is a block east of Johnson, block and a half east of Johnson. It's right by the big sign from the bank.
Okay.
And so the MACP, or whatever those initials are, approved it with the stipulation we get the deed title cleared. And so we were halfway clearing it, and then we ran into a bottleneck, and so now we're starting over with another avenue, but we think we will be there shortly. I don't know that we can get it on the next agenda, but by the next agenda after that. And, but we would like to have it zoned commercial so that we can decide how we're going to rebuild, remodel, or make plans. But right now, we can't even make plans when we ain't got no idea what we're doing. I did get an A in English from time to time. Okay?
Well said.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else sign up, Eric?
No, sir.
Item 18, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Mike?
I'll second.
Second by Rodney. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 5-2. We are adjourned.
Thank you for joining us for the Enid City Commission meeting. If you have any questions or comments, visit our website at enid.org.